I never thought I'd be the person who destroys a funeral. But there I was, 28 years old, standing at my mother's casket, about to burn down everything my father built on lies. The funeral home was packed. Mom knew a lot of people, church friends, neighbors, her book club ladies who'd visited her every week during the chemo. 200 people, maybe more, all of them dabbing their eyes, whispering about what a devoted husband my father, Rick, was, how he never left her side, how their love story was something special. I believed that story too, right up until I saw them. 4 people in the back row, a woman, maybe 40, and 3 kids, teenagers. They sat apart from everyone else, like they weren't sure they belonged. The woman had dark hair like mine, sharp cheekbones like mine, that distinctive widow's peak our family has. I know what you're thinking. I should have put it together right there. But grief does weird things to your brain. I was trying to figure out if she was some distant cousin when I looked at my father. Rick had gone completely white. Not pale. White. Like someone drained all the blood from his face. His hand shook so hard his program fell to the floor. That's when I knew. Before I understood what I knew. Let me back up for a second. You need to understand who my mother was to get why this hurt so bad. Dorothy was the kind of woman who apologized when nurses stuck her wrong during chemo, who wore lipstick to radiation because people are taking time to help me, I should look nice for them, who never complained, even when the cancer ate through her bones and she couldn't walk anymore. She was 56 when she died. Should have had 30 more years. Would have, maybe, if she'd gotten proper treatment. But we couldn't afford it. That's what Rick told us. Bad investments, he said. The market crashed. He sold Mom's jewelry, her grandmother's ring, her pearl necklace. We moved from our house to a cramped 2-bedroom apartment. Sold the car. I watched my mother ration her pain pills because refills were too expensive. She died in agony because we were broke. That's what I believed. Rick drove a new Mercedes. I noticed but didn't question it. He explained it was a company lease. I was so focused on Mom, I didn't think twice. The night before she died, Mom was barely conscious. Morphine finally, now that it didn't matter. She pressed something into my hand. An envelope. If they come to the funeral, she whispered. The woman and the children. Give this to them. I thought she was confused. The morphine talking. I held her hand and lied that I would. She knew. The whole time she knew. After the service, I was going through Rick's coat to find his car keys. Mine were in my purse somewhere and I was too exhausted to look. I found another phone. Not his iPhone. A burner, tucked in the inside pocket. My hands shook as I opened it. No password. Why would there be? He never expected me to find it. The messages loaded. Years of them. Thousands. Can't wait until this is over and we can finally be together properly. Told Dorothy the insurance won't cover the new treatment. Should speed things along. The inconvenience should be resolved soon. Then we'll be free. The inconvenience. He called my mother's cancer the inconvenience. I scrolled back further. Messages about picking up kids from soccer. Complaints about parent-teacher conferences. Love you. See you tonight. Dated from last week, last month, last year. The phone slipped from my shaking hands. My vision tunneled. Everything I thought I knew was collapsing, folding in on itself like a dying star. I found Mom's letter in my purse. Not the one for them. Another one tucked behind it. For me. Holly, my darling girl. If you're reading this, you found out about Rick's other family. I've known for 2 years. I wanted to tell you, wanted to warn you, but I was so tired of fighting. The envelope has bank statements. He took everything. $800,000. While I suffered, he built a life with her. Her name is Marilyn. She doesn't know about me. He told her he was divorced. The children don't know. It's not their fault. Please don't hate them, but don't let him get away with it. I stayed quiet to protect you, to make sure you got something after I was gone. Now it's your turn to speak. I love you. Don't let him make you silent like he made me. Mom. My mother knew for 2 years. 2 years of agony, of indignity, of dying slowly in a cramped apartment while her husband played devoted caregiver during visiting hours and went home to another wife at night. $800,000. The statements were all there, printed out, highlighted in Mom's careful handwriting. Transfers to M. Anderson. Monthly payments of $5,000. $150,000 house purchase. Private school tuition. Dance lessons. Soccer fees. While Mom rationed pain pills. While I sold my car to help pay for groceries. While we told ourselves we were broke. I was still standing there. Papers shaking in my hands when she approached. The woman from the back row. Marilyn. Holly? Her voice was soft, nervous. I'm so sorry for your loss. Your father is an amazing man. He's talked about you so much. I stared at her. She had Mom's necklace on. The pearl one. The one Rick said he'd sold. I know this must be shocking, she continued, glancing back at her kids. They looked scared. Lost. Rick promised he'd tell you after the funeral. I'm his wife. We've been married for 12 years. 12 years. My parents' 25th anniversary had been 3 years ago. I'd organized the party. The room spun. People were starting to gather for the eulogy. Rick was walking toward the podium, his face composed now. The grieving widower. Ready to tell everyone about his beloved Dorothy. I looked at the papers in my hands. At Marilyn's face. At the 3 teenagers who had no idea their entire life was a lie. At the 200 people waiting to hear what a great love story my parents had. Rick caught my eye, shook his head slightly. A warning. Should I stay quiet like Mom did? Or should I burn it all down right here, right now, in front of everyone? Tell me, if your mother died protecting a lie, would you keep it buried with her? Or would you let the truth explode at her funeral? Because I had about 30 seconds to decide. I stood at the podium. My hands gripped the edges so hard my knuckles went white. Rick stood 5 feet away, near the casket, watching me. His expression was calm, but I could see the panic in his eyes. 200 faces looked back at me, waiting. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. Rick took a small step forward, ready to catch me if I fainted, or tackle me if I talked. Hard to tell which. My mother, I started. My voice cracked. My mother was the strongest person I knew. Rick relaxed slightly. His shoulders dropped half an inch. I looked at Marilyn. She sat in the back, dabbing her eyes with a tissue, playing the part of the concerned... What? Mistress? Wife? What do you call the woman who wore your dead mother's jewelry? She sacrificed everything for the people she loved, I continued. Even when it hurt her. Even when staying silent was killing her. Rick's jaw tightened. She taught me that truth matters. That living authentically matters. That we owe it to the people we love to be honest, even when it's hard. My father's hand moved to his pocket, to that second phone I'd found. The one that was still in his coat, hanging in the side room. I could do it. I could tell them all right now. About Marilyn, about the money, about the inconvenience of my mother's cancer. I could watch Rick's perfect facade crack in front of everyone he'd lied to. But I looked at those 3 kids, teenagers, at a funeral, about to find out their father was a bigamist and their entire life was fraud. Not like this. Not in front of everyone. They didn't deserve that. Mom had stayed quiet for 2 years. I could stay quiet for 2 more hours. She would want us to remember her with love. I finished. My voice was steadier now, cold. And she'd want the truth to be known. All of it. Very soon. I stepped down. Rick's relief was visible. He actually smiled at me. Probably thought he'd won. I walked past Marilyn without looking at her. Past the kids. Out the side door into the cold March air. My hands were shaking so bad I couldn't light my cigarette. I don't even smoke. I'd bummed it off someone. Just needed something to do with my hands before they curled into fists and never uncurled. Holly. I spun around. Rick stood in the doorway. Alone. Thank you, he said quietly, for not making a scene. Your mother wouldn't have wanted that. The audacity. The sheer audacity of this man. Don't, I said. Don't you dare tell me what Mom would have wanted. I know you're confused. He moved closer. His voice was gentle, patronizing. Grief can make us see things that aren't there. Marilyn is just a friend. She's been helping me through this difficult time. A friend. I laughed. It came out sharp and ugly. A friend who wears Mom's pearls? A friend you've been married to for 12 years? His expression shifted. The mask slipped for just a second. Something cold flickered behind his eyes. Then the mask snapped back. His face crumpled. Tears, actual tears, filled his eyes. Holly, sweetheart, I don't know what you think you saw, but you're not well. This grief, it's affecting you. Maybe we should get you some help. Temporarily. Just until you're thinking clearly. I found your phone, I said flatly. I read the messages. The inconvenience should be resolved soon. That's what you called her dying. An inconvenience. Rick looked around. We were alone, but he lowered his voice anyway. You went through my things? He wasn't crying anymore. That's concerning behavior, Holly. Paranoid behavior. After your mother's death, it's understandable. But it's not healthy. He pulled out his own phone, his real one, started typing. Who are you texting? Dr. Morrison, my colleague. He's a psychiatrist. I think you need to talk to someone. Today. My blood went cold. I'm not crazy. No one said crazy. He put his hand on my shoulder. I flinched away. Traumatized. Grieving. Seeing patterns that aren't there. It's very common, but we need to address it before you hurt yourself, or hurt others with false accusations. He was so calm. So reasonable. Looking at him, you'd think he was the concerned father, and I was the unstable daughter spinning conspiracy theories. If I didn't have those bank statements, I would have doubted myself. I have proof, I said. Proof of what? That I helped a friend? That's not a crime, Holly. But stealing someone's phone and making wild accusations at your mother's funeral? That concerns me. That concerns me deeply. We stood there, staring at each other. For the first time in my life, I was truly afraid of my father. I need to get back inside, he said finally. People will wonder. We'll talk about this later. At home, where it's private. He walked past me, paused in the doorway. And Holly, maybe don't mention any of this to the other guests, for your own sake. People might get the wrong idea about your mental state. He left me standing there. The funeral continued. Rick played his part beautifully, sobbing at the casket, accepting condolences with dignity, telling stories about Dorothy's kindness, her strength, her grace. Marilyn left early with her kids, before the reception. Smart. Or maybe Rick told her to go. I watched him work the room, hugging Mom's friends, thanking the pastor, every inch the devoted widower. No one suspected a thing. At the reception, Rick's sister Emma pulled me aside. Your father told me you've been struggling, she said. Her voice was kind but careful. The voice you use with someone fragile. He's worried about you. I'm fine. He said you accused him of some things today. Some upsetting things. I looked across the room. Rick was watching us. He raised his coffee cup slightly. A toast? Or a warning? I'm processing a lot right now, I said carefully. Of course you are. Emma squeezed my hand. But Holly, your father loved your mother. We all saw it. This grief, it can make us angry. Looking for someone to blame. But there's no villain here. Just a terrible disease that took someone too soon. She believed him. Of course she believed him. Why wouldn't she? Rick was respectable, successful, a devoted husband for 28 years. I was the grieving daughter, not thinking straight. That night, I went to Mom's apartment. My apartment now, technically. Everything was exactly as we'd left it that last morning. Her coffee cup still in the sink. Her reading glasses on the side table. I pulled out the bank statements again. Spread them across the kitchen table. Started making copies. Taking pictures. Building a case. My phone rang. Rick. Holly, we need to talk. I'm tired. This can't wait. I'm coming over. No, don't. I need space. Holly. His voice hardened. I'm your father. Open the door when I get there. We're going to discuss your behavior today. The accusations, the paranoia, all of it. He hung up. I looked at the papers. At the door. At my phone. Have you ever known you were in danger but couldn't prove it? That your own family might be the threat? That's where I was. I started scanning documents to the cloud, sending copies to my email, to a friend's email, anywhere Rick couldn't delete them. I heard his key in the lock, the one I'd forgotten he still had. He stood in the doorway, looking at the papers covering the table. At me. What exactly do you think you're doing? He asked quietly. Everything that happened next. I never saw it coming. Rick moved fast, faster than I expected. He was across the room before I could react, gathering up the papers. These are private financial documents, he said. Still calm, still controlled. Taking them was theft. They're Mom's documents. She left them for me. Your mother wasn't in her right mind at the end. The morphine. The pain. She wasn't competent to make legal decisions. He had an answer for everything. Of course he did. He'd been planning this for years. I'm calling Atticus Monroe tomorrow, I said. Mom's lawyer. He'll want to see these. Rick smiled. Actually smiled. Atticus retired last month. Moved to Florida. Didn't your mother tell you? She hadn't, because she'd been dying. Then I'll find another lawyer. With what money, Holly? You're unemployed, living in your dead mother's apartment. You have maybe $3,000 to your name. He sat down at the table, relaxed. I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm being realistic. You can't afford to fight me. And if you try, I'll make sure everyone knows you're not stable enough to manage your own affairs. The threat hung in the air between us. Why? My voice cracked. Why did you do this to her? For a moment, just a moment, I saw something real in his face. Not remorse, not guilt, irritation. Your mother and I, we fell out of love. It happens. But divorce would have cost me everything. The house, my pension, half my salary. I worked hard for that money. I wasn't going to hand it over because we stopped being compatible. So you just started a whole new family? Marilyn understood me. She made me happy. The kids, they're good kids. They deserved a father who wanted to be there. And Mom? What did she deserve? I took care of her, didn't I? I was there. Every hospital visit, every treatment, I played the part. Played the part. That's what our entire life was to him. A performance. The money, I said. You stole from her while she was dying. I redirected assets that were rightfully mine. Your mother had no idea about our financial situation. She didn't need to know. It would have only upset her. He stood up, papers in hand. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to stop this investigation. Stop talking to people. Stop making accusations. In return, I'll make sure you're taken care of. Mom's life insurance, I'll split it with you. 50,000. Enough to get back on your feet. And if I don't? Then I'll have you evaluated. You're clearly suffering a psychotic break, paranoid delusions, conspiracy theories. You'll be committed for observation, temporarily, just until you're better. My stomach dropped. You can't do that. I absolutely can. I'm your next of kin. I have documentation of your erratic behavior today. Multiple witnesses heard you make bizarre accusations. Dr. Morrison has already agreed to do an emergency evaluation. He walked to the door, turned back. I loved your mother, in my way, and I love you. But I will not let you destroy everything I've built. Choose wisely, Holly. Take the money and move on, or fight me and lose everything. He left, took half the documents with him. I sat there in the dark apartment, shaking. He had it all planned out. Every angle covered. He was going to win, unless I could find help. Real help. I called the one person who might believe me. Aunt Elizabeth, Mom's sister. Holly, honey, I'm so glad you called. I've been worried. Rick said you had some kind of episode at the funeral. Of course he'd gotten to her first. Aunt Liz, I need to tell you something. About Rick. About Mom. There was a long pause. Your mother mentioned something once, she said slowly. About Rick having secrets. I thought she was being paranoid. The cancer, it affected her mind toward the end. She wasn't paranoid. She was right. I told her everything. The second family. The money. The messages. When I finished, the silence stretched. Oh, Holly. Her voice was thick. Oh, Dorothy. She knew. She knew, and she stayed quiet. Will you help me? Yes, I will. I know a lawyer. Grace Thompson. She's tough. She doesn't back down from men like Rick. Let me call her tonight. Finally, someone believed me. But Holly, Aunt Elizabeth added, be careful. If Rick is capable of what you're saying, he's capable of anything. Don't be alone with him. Stay somewhere safe. I packed a bag that night, stayed at a motel, called in sick to my temp job, spent the next day meeting with Grace Thompson. She was exactly what I needed. Mid-50s, sharp-eyed, with 20 years of family law experience. This is going to be ugly, she said after reviewing what documents I had left. But it's winnable. We need the originals of those bank statements. We need proof of the marriage to Marilyn. And we need witnesses who can verify your mother's state of mind when she gave you these documents. We filed a request for Rick's financial records, sent a subpoena to his bank, started building a case. For 2 days, I thought maybe I could win. Then Grace called. Holly, we have a problem. Rick filed an emergency petition. He's claiming you're a danger to yourself and others. He has statements from 3 witnesses, his sister, Dr. Morrison, and someone named Father Thomas from your mother's church. They all say you've been making delusional accusations and showing signs of mental breakdown. That's a lie. I know. But he got a judge to sign an emergency psychiatric hold. The police are looking for you. If they find you, you'll be taken to Riverside Psychiatric for evaluation. My world tilted. How long? 72 hours minimum. Maybe longer if they determine you're a threat. This is insane. He's doing this to silence me. I know. And we'll fight it. But Holly, you need to turn yourself in voluntarily. If you run, it looks like you're unstable. It plays into his narrative. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Rick had outmaneuvered me at every turn. Now he was going to have me locked up. There's one more thing. Grace said quietly. Marilyn filed a restraining order against you. She claims you threatened her children at the funeral, that you've been stalking them. She's pressing harassment charges. I didn't even talk to them. Rick gave her a story. She believes she's protecting her kids from a disturbed woman. She has no idea she's the other woman. He told her he was divorced years ago. The full picture crystallized. Rick wasn't just protecting himself. He was destroying any credibility I had. By the time he was done, no one would believe a word I said. What do I do? Turn yourself in. Let them evaluate you. Stay calm. Don't argue. Don't try to explain about Rick. Just focus on proving you're stable and rational. Once you're released, we continue the fight. I hung up, stared at my motel room, at the bag I'd packed, at the few documents I had left. Rick had won, at least for now. The police picked me up that night. 2 officers, kind but firm. They weren't rough, didn't treat me like a criminal, just a sick person who needed help. Your father is really worried about you, one of them said in the car. Says you've been through a lot. I didn't respond. Grace's voice echoed in my head. Stay calm. Don't argue. Riverside Psychiatric was newer than I expected. Clean, bright. Still felt like a prison. Dr. Morrison did my intake. He was gentle, concerned, maddeningly patient as he asked questions about my delusions and paranoid thinking. Your father says you believe he's living a double life? I don't believe it. I know it. And you have proof? I did. He took it. Dr. Morrison made a note. I could see the diagnosis forming in his mind. Paranoid, delusional, grief-induced psychosis. Holly, grief can make us see patterns that aren't there. It can make us angry at the people we love. It's very common. Everyone kept saying that. Very common. As if I was a textbook case instead of someone telling the truth. How long do I have to stay here? That depends on you. When we feel you're stable and safe, you can go home. Home. To what? To Rick controlling everything? That night, alone in my room, I realized the full scope of what he'd done. Not just the affair, not just the money. He'd systematically isolated me, destroyed my credibility, and set up a perfect trap. If I fought, I looked crazy. If I stayed quiet, he won. Mom had stayed quiet for 2 years. I understood why now. Fighting someone like Rick didn't just mean losing. It meant losing yourself. But Mom left me those documents for a reason. She stayed silent to protect me, to make sure I had ammunition when the time came. I couldn't let her sacrifice be for nothing. I had to find a way out. Had to expose him. Even if it meant playing his game better than he could. How do you fight someone who's 10 steps ahead? How do you prove the truth when everyone believes the lie? I was about to find out. I learned fast that Riverside Psychiatric runs on compliance. Smile. Nod. Take your pills. Tell them what they want to hear. So that's what I did. I was a model patient for 3 days, participated in group therapy, talked about my grief, agreed that maybe I'd been seeing connections that weren't there, apologized for upsetting people at the funeral. Dr. Morrison seemed pleased. You're making excellent progress, Holly. Self-awareness is the first step. I wanted to scream, but I smiled instead. I just want to feel better. That's good. Very good. We'll have another evaluation tomorrow. Rick visited every day. Brought flowers. Held my hand while I sat there numb. Played the devoted father for the nurses. I'm so glad you're getting help, he said. Mom would be proud of how you're handling this. I wanted to stab him with the plastic fork from my lunch tray. Instead, I squeezed his hand. Thanks, Dad. The nurse watching us smiled. What a loving family. On day 4, everything changed. A new nurse came on shift. Sarah, young, maybe 30. She had kind eyes, Real ones, not the professional kind that the other staff wore. She was changing my sheets when she paused, looking at something on her phone. "You're Holly Winters?" she asked quietly. "Yes." "Your mom was Dorothy Winters?" My breath caught. "You knew her." "She volunteered at St. Mary's Soup Kitchen. I used to see her there every Thursday. She was so kind." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "I heard she passed. I'm so sorry." Something in her voice. Something genuine. For the first time in days, I felt hope. "Sarah," I said carefully, "can I tell you something? And will you actually listen?" She glanced at the door. Back at me. "Go ahead." So I told her. Everything. The second family. The money. Rick's plan to have me permanently committed. The documents I'd found. How he'd systematically destroyed every piece of evidence. I expected her to smile politely and make a note on my chart. Delusional patient, paranoid narrative. Instead, she sat down on the bed. "Holy shit," she whispered. "You believe me?" "Your mom. She mentioned once that her husband had secrets, that she was protecting someone. I thought she meant protecting you from knowing something painful. But this..." She shook her head. "This makes sense. I need to get out of here. I need to prove it before he makes this permanent. Dr. Morrison thinks you're improving. He'll probably release you in a few days." A few days might be too late. Rick's already filed for conservatorship. If that goes through, I lose all rights. He controls everything. Sarah stood up, thinking. "I have an idea, but I could lose my job." "Don't risk it. I can't ask you to..." "Your mom helped a lot of people, including me. When my sister was sick, your mom paid for her medication. Just handed me an envelope with $2,000. Wouldn't take no for an answer." Sarah's voice hardened. "If your father did what you said to a woman like that, he doesn't get to win." That night, Sarah smuggled in her phone. I had 15 minutes while she kept watch. I called Grace Thompson. "I need you to file an emergency motion. Anything to delay the conservatorship hearing." "Holly, where are you calling from? The hospital said..." "Please, just trust me. File the motion. Say I have new evidence, that I need time to present it." "What evidence?" "I'll get it. Just buy me time." I hung up. Called the one person who might still have the courage to help. Nancy, Mom's best friend. "Holly! Oh, honey, Rick said you were in the hospital. How are you?" "Nancy, I need you to do something for me. And you have to trust me completely." I told her about Mom's safety deposit box. The one at First National Bank. The one Mom had mentioned in her letter, but I'd never had time to access. "Check if it still exists. If it does, you're listed as alternate access. Mom told me once, check for documents, photos, anything. Rick said you were having delusions. Nancy, please, for Mom." She knew what Rick was doing. She documented everything. That's why she stayed quiet. She was building a case. There was a long silence. "I always thought something was off," Nancy said finally. "Dorothy was too smart to not notice. Too careful. If she left evidence somewhere, I'll find it." Sarah came back. "Time's up. Someone's coming." I erased the call history, handed back the phone, lay down in bed like I'd been sleeping. For the next 2 days, I played my part. Agreeable, calm, medicated. Rick visited, sat beside my bed reading the paper while I pretended to nap. He was relaxed now, confident. Everything was going according to plan. Then Nancy called him. I heard his half of the conversation from the hallway. "Nancy, calm down. What box?" "No, Dorothy never mentioned..." "You found what?" His voice rose. "Those are private documents. You can't just..." "Nancy, you're committing theft. I'll have to notify the police." No, don't, Nancy. He hung up, stood there shaking, actually shaking. I smiled into my pillow. Nancy found it. Whatever Mom hid, Nancy found it. Rick disappeared for hours. Came back looking gray, exhausted. The mask was slipping. "How are you feeling?" he asked me. His voice was tight. "Better. Dr. Morrison says I might go home soon." "That's good. That's very good." He wasn't listening. His mind was somewhere else. "Holly, about your mother's things. Some people might try to claim she left documents, instructions, but your mother wasn't mentally competent at the end. Anything she said or wrote isn't legally valid." "Okay, Dad." "I mean it. People might try to manipulate you, use your grief against you. You can't trust them." "I won't." He left looking more worried than when he arrived. That night, Sarah found me in the common room. "Your lawyer called the main desk," she whispered. "Said she has new evidence. Something about original bank records and photos. The conservatorship hearing is postponed." I closed my eyes. "Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Mom." "There's something else," Sarah said. "Your father donated $50,000 to the new psychiatric wing last year. Dr. Morrison keeps talking about what a generous man he is, how important it is to keep benefactors happy." Everything clicked into place. The quick admission, the rushed diagnosis, Morrison fast-tracking the conservatorship. Rick had bought himself a perfectly legal way to make me disappear. "I need you to do something," I said. "Next time Rick visits, can you record him? Audio only. Just leave your phone somewhere hidden." "That's illegal without consent." "So is falsifying a psychiatric diagnosis to steal someone's inheritance." Sarah was quiet for a long moment. "If I do this and get caught, I lose my license. Maybe go to jail." "Then don't. I can't ask you to—" "Your mom saved my sister's life. Literally. So, yeah. I'll do it." 2 days later, Rick came for his usual visit. Sarah had hidden her phone under a magazine on the side table. I pretended to sleep while he made a call. "Marilyn, stop panicking. The situation is contained. No, she can't prove anything. The documents Nancy found won't hold up in court, because Dorothy was mentally incompetent. Any lawyer will get them thrown out. Yes, the hearing is next week. After that, Holly won't be a problem anymore. Full conservatorship. I control everything. Medical decisions, finances, where she lives. Exactly. She'll be here permanently. They'll diagnose her with early onset schizophrenia or something. By the time anyone questions it, she'll be too medicated to function." He hung up, sat there in silence. Then he laughed. Actually laughed. "Sorry, Dorothy," he said to the air. "I know you wanted her to fight me. But I'm better at this game than you were." Sarah retrieved the phone after he left, played the recording back. Rick's voice, crystal clear, admitting to everything. "This is it," she breathed. "This proves he's lying about your mental state, that he's manipulating the system. Send it to Grace Thompson, now, before anything happens to it." Sarah did. Immediately. Cloud backup, multiple copies. For the first time since Mom died, I felt something close to hope. But Rick wasn't done. The next morning, Dr. Morrison called me into his office. "Holly, I have some concerning news. Your father wants to transfer you to a long-term care facility. He feels you need more intensive treatment." "What? No. You said I was improving." "You are, but your father is concerned about your stability once you're released. He wants you somewhere with more structure, more supervision." "This is insane. I'm fine. You said so yourself." "I know this is difficult, but your father has your best interests at heart. The facility is very nice. More like a residential program than a hospital. A prison. He meant a prison. Somewhere Rick could keep me locked up indefinitely while he controlled everything. I want to speak to my lawyer. Of course, after we complete the transfer. No, now. I have a right to legal representation. Morrison's expression hardened. Holly, this kind of combative behavior is exactly what concerns us. You are doing so well. Please don't regress. I understood then. Morrison was part of it. Maybe not knowingly, but he'd been influenced. Paid. Convinced that Rick was the reasonable one and I was the problem. The transfer was scheduled for the next day. 24 hours until Rick made me disappear for good. That night, I couldn't sleep. Paced my room. Tried to think of a way out. Sarah appeared at my door after midnight. Your lawyer filed an emergency injunction, she whispered. The transfer is blocked. For now. The conservatorship hearing is scheduled for tomorrow morning. If you can make it there, if you can present that recording and Nancy's evidence, you might win. Morrison won't release me in time. I know. Sarah handed me something. Clothes. My clothes. There's a side door near the therapy wing. It's usually locked, but maintenance is doing repairs tonight. It'll be open for about 20 minutes around 3 a.m. You're helping me escape? I'm taking a smoke break and accidentally leaving some doors unsecured. What you do with that information is your choice. I could see the fear in her eyes, the risk she was taking. Thank you. Your mom was a good person. She deserved better. So do you. At 2:45 a.m., I got dressed. Walked casually toward the therapy wing like I was just restless. Couldn't sleep. No alarms. No one stopped me. The side door was open, just like Sarah said. I walked out into the cold November air. Free. I had 12 hours to get to court, to face Rick, to end this. The war wasn't over, but for the first time I had a fighting chance. If you've ever had to escape your own family to save yourself, you know that feeling. That mix of terror and determination. I was about to walk into a courtroom and destroy my father's life, and I wasn't sure I'd survive what came next. Grace Thompson picked me up 3 blocks from the hospital at 4 a.m. She handed me coffee and a folder thick with documents. Nancy came through, she said. Your mother documented everything. Bank statements, photos of Rick with Marilyn and the kids, recorded conversations with Rick's banker where he admits to hiding assets, copies of bills he refused to pay for your mother's treatment. Dorothy was smarter than all of us. My hands shook as I flipped through the folder. Photos of Rick at a soccer game with a son I didn't know existed. Rick kissing Marilyn at a restaurant. Rick signing papers at a real estate office. Buying Marilyn's house while Mom was in hospice. There's more, Grace said. Nancy contacted Marilyn directly. Showed her the marriage certificate. Your parents' marriage certificate from 1997. Still active. Never dissolved. What did Marilyn say? She's meeting us at the courthouse, with her lawyer. She had no idea. Rick showed her divorce papers. Fake ones. Told her you were the disturbed daughter of his ex-wife who was harassing his new family. So, Marilyn was a victim too. Another piece on Rick's chessboard. The conservatorship hearing was at 9. We had 5 hours to prepare. There's a problem, Grace said. Judge Patterson is handling the case. He's a friend of your father's. They play golf together. I filed a motion for him to recuse himself, but it was denied. So the judge is on Rick's side? Let's say he's predisposed to believe your father's version of events. We'll need our evidence to be airtight. Undeniable. We met Nancy at a diner at 6. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Holly. She pulled me into a fierce hug. Your mother would be so proud of you. I don't feel proud. I feel terrified. Good. That means you understand what you're up against. Nancy pulled out another folder. I made copies of everything. Multiple copies. Stored them in 3 different locations. Rick can't make this disappear. At 8:30, we walked into the courthouse. Rick was already there with his lawyer, Thomas Whitmore. Expensive suit. Shark eyes. Rick saw me and froze. Just for a second. Then his expression shifted to concern. Hurt. The loving father whose troubled daughter had run away from treatment. Holly, thank God. He moved toward me. Grace stepped between us. Mr. Winters, please don't approach my client. Your client? Holly, what's going on? Why do you have a lawyer? We're family. We should be working together. Like you worked with Mom while she was dying? I said. His jaw tightened. You're not well. You need help. Marilyn arrived at 8:40 with her lawyer and her children. She looked shattered. The kids looked confused and scared. Rick went pale when he saw them. Marilyn, what are you doing here? I told you this wasn't necessary. You lied to me, she said. Her voice shook. About everything. Your divorce, your finances, Holly, all of it. I can explain. You told me Dorothy died 3 years ago, that Holly was disturbed, that you were free to marry me. Marilyn's lawyer handed her something. The marriage certificate, real one. Rick and Dorothy, 1997, never dissolved. You made me the other woman, Marilyn said. You made me complicit in torturing a dying woman. My children, her voice broke. My children are illegitimate because you never divorced your wife. Rick's lawyer whispered something to him. Rick's expression went cold. The mask finally dropped completely. This is a setup, he said. Holly orchestrated this. She's manipulated all of you. She's not stable. The hospital will confirm. The hospital you donated $50,000 to? Grace interrupted. The one where you bribed Dr. Morrison to fast-track a diagnosis? I did no such thing. That's slander. We have recordings, I said quietly. Rick turned to me. For the first time, I saw real fear in his eyes. Recordings of what? You, talking to Marilyn, admitting you planned to have me permanently institutionalized, that you were manipulating the system, that Mom was mentally incompetent. Your words. That you stole money while she was dying. Those recordings are illegal, inadmissible. Maybe, Grace said. Maybe not. But they're very good for the press. I wonder how your employer would feel about their senior partner drugging his daughter to hide bigamy and fraud. We stood there in the courthouse hallway. Rick, Marilyn, me, the three corners of his lies. All rise. Court is now in session, the Honorable Judge Patterson presiding. We filed in. Rick sat on one side with his lawyer. I sat on the other with Grace. Marilyn sat in the back with her children and her lawyer. Judge Patterson looked at the chaos and sighed. This was supposed to be a simple conservatorship hearing. Your Honor. Rick's lawyer stood. My client seeks emergency conservatorship of his daughter, Holly Winters, age 28. She's suffering from psychotic delusions and is a danger to herself. She recently escaped from psychiatric care. She walked out of an unlocked door because the attending physician was falsifying her diagnosis. Grace interrupted. We have evidence that Mr. Winters manipulated her admission to prevent her from discovering his financial fraud and bigamy. Judge Patterson's eyebrows rose. Bigamy? Grace presented the documents. Both marriage certificates, bank records, photos, Sarah's recording. The judge listened to Rick's voice admitting his plan, admitting everything. When it finished, the courtroom was silent. Mr. Winters, Judge Patterson said slowly, did you or did you not make these statements? Rick stood. Your Honor, I was speaking in frustration. My daughter has been making wild accusations. I simply meant that I wanted her to get help. You said you wanted her permanently institutionalized, that you would control her finances and medical decisions, that her mother was mentally incompetent. I was protecting my daughter from herself. By stealing $800,000 from your dying wife? The judge's voice was ice. By denying her medical treatment while you bought a house for your mistress? Marilyn is not my mistress. She's my wife. You can't have two wives, Mr. Winters. That's called bigamy. It's a crime. Rick opened his mouth, closed it. His lawyer was frantically whispering. Marilyn stood up. Your Honor, I had no knowledge of Mr. Winters' existing marriage. He showed me divorce papers, fake ones. I believed we were legally married. My children believed their parents were married. We're victims too. Judge Patterson looked at Rick with pure disgust. Bailiff, please escort Mr. Winters out of my courtroom. The conservatorship petition is denied. I'm ordering a full investigation into his financial dealings and filing charges for bigamy, fraud, and elder abuse. Your Honor, you can't. Rick's lawyer tried. I absolutely can. And I'm removing myself from this case due to my personal relationship with the defendant. I won't let friendship blind me to criminal behavior. Rick finally broke. You don't understand. Dorothy knew. She knew and she stayed. She let me do this. She's as guilty as I am. The courtroom erupted. Nancy shouted. Marilyn's lawyer objected. The bailiff moved toward Rick. She stayed because she was afraid. I stood up, shaking. She stayed because you controlled everything. Because she was sick and had nowhere to go. She documented everything because she knew someday someone would have to stop you. That someone is me. Rick looked at me. Really looked at me. Like he was seeing me for the first time. You're just like her, he said quietly. Stubborn. Unforgiving. You'll regret this. The only thing I regret is not fighting you sooner. The bailiff took Rick's arm. He didn't resist, just walked out, head down, everything he'd built crumbling behind him. Marilyn approached me after. Her eyes were red. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I know. He lied to both of us. My children, they loved him. They thought he was a good father. Maybe he was, to them, just not to his first family. We stood there, two women destroyed by the same man, united by lies. What will you do? I asked. Annul the marriage. He's not legally my husband. Never was. She looked at her kids. And tell them the truth. All of it. They deserve to know who their father really is. The next few months were a blur. Rick was indicted on multiple charges. The trial was scheduled for the following spring. The court froze his assets. The $800,000 he'd transferred to Marilyn's account was seized and held pending judgment. I used some of Mom's remaining life insurance to establish the Dorothy Winters Foundation. It provides financial assistance to cancer patients who can't afford treatment. The thing Rick denied Mom, I was making sure other families never had to face. Nancy helped me run it. Sarah, the nurse who risked everything, became our first board member. Marilyn's kids reached out. Tentatively. They wanted to know their half-sister. To understand the truth. We met for coffee. It was awkward, painful, but necessary. Rick went to trial in April. The evidence was overwhelming. 8 years for bigamy, fraud, and elder abuse. He'll be eligible for parole in 5. During his sentencing, the judge asked if I wanted to make a statement. I stood, looked at my father, at the man who'd played devoted husband while letting my mother die in poverty. You told me once that you loved Mom in your way. I don't think you understand what love means. Love is sacrifice, presence, truth. You gave her none of those things. You gave her lies and neglect and cruelty. And you did it all while pretending to be a good man. That's not love. That's evil. Rick didn't look at me, just stared at his hands. But here's what you didn't understand. Mom was stronger than both of us. She stayed quiet to protect me, to make sure I had the evidence I needed when the time came. She loved me more than you ever could, and because of her, I won. I sat down. Rick was led away. I never saw him again. 6 months later, I stood at Mom's grave. The headstone was simple. Dorothy Ann Winters, beloved mother, 1969-2025. Marilyn's kids, my half-siblings, stood with me. We'd started having monthly dinners. Awkward at first, but getting easier. They were good kids. They didn't deserve the father they got. Your mom must have been really brave, the youngest said. Emma, 16, to document everything while she was dying. She was. She's the bravest person I've ever known. I'm sorry Dad did that to her. To you. It's not your fault. But we benefited from it. The house. Our school. Everything. It was stolen. You didn't know. That's what Rick counted on. All of us not knowing. We stood there in silence. Then Emma said, "I'm glad we met you, even if the reasons sucked." I smiled. Me too. The foundation was growing. We'd helped 12 families so far, paid for treatments, medications, home care. The things Mom never got. Every time we wrote a check, I thought of her quiet strength, her careful planning, how she stayed silent to protect me but left me the ammunition to fight. People ask if I forgive Rick. I don't. Forgiveness is for people who feel remorse. Rick only felt sorry he got caught. But I'm not angry anymore. Anger is exhausting. I chose something better. I chose to honor Mom's memory by helping people he would have left to suffer. That's the real victory. Not revenge. Not punishment. But making sure his cruelty doesn't define the world. Mom taught me that. Even in death, even through betrayal, she taught me how to fight, how to survive, how to win. I visit her grave every Sunday. Tell her about the foundation, about the families we're helping, about how I finally understand why she stayed quiet. Sometimes I think about what I would have done differently. If I should have confronted Rick earlier. If I should have made a scene at the funeral like I wanted to. But I think Mom's way was right. Quiet planning, careful documentation, waiting for the right moment to strike. She taught me that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is survive. Document. Wait. And when the time comes, fight with everything you have. I carry that lesson with me every day. To anyone who's being lied to, manipulated, gaslit by someone they love, document everything. Trust your instincts. Build your case quietly. And when you're ready, don't be afraid to burn it all down. The truth is worth fighting for. Even when it costs you everything. Especially then. Mom knew that. She paid the price so I could win. I won't let her sacrifice be for nothing. When will you stop protecting the lies that destroy the people you love? When will you speak the truth that could save someone's life? Don't wait until you're standing at their grave wishing you'd fought harder. Do it now, before it's too late.